Let's move on to news where the Indian government will certainly be happy. It's got a major boost in efforts to repatriate black money stashed away abroad. Switzerland says it has prepared a list of Indians suspected to have hoarded untaxed wealth in secret bank accounts, the details of which are being shared with New Delhi. The Swiss government says details of the Indian individuals and corporate entities came under the scanner when it began an exercise to identify the real beneficiaries of certain accounts. Officials privy to this exercise have refused to divulge the identities of these suspected people and entities, citing a confidentiality clause in a bilateral agreement between the two countries. Swiss authorities say they are keen to work with the new Indian government and have promised to support the efforts of a team set up by Narendra Modi to investigate black money. Aditi Anantarayanan is with us now for more on this. Aditi, any reactions yet from the NDA about this move by Swiss authorities?
In fact, not yet, but the BJP sources are telling us that they are extremely relieved by this step. In fact, they were looking forward for a help and a support to be granted by the Swiss authorities. Pierre, Narendra Modi had made it extremely clear that black money, the fight for getting black money back into the country, will be one of the key agendas for the NDA government after it comes into power. And I think going in that pipeline itself, Narendra Modi too had set up the SIT on black money, which is being headed by retired Justice MB Shah, and it has got all top dignitaries and officials of the country, clearly hinting at the fact that Narendra Modi government is very serious about the black money issue. In fact, they also get a chance to have an upper hand as compared to the UPA government, who had been claiming that they will make enough efforts in getting the black money back, but little did they accomplish anything of this sort. And now the clamour will also grow, Pierre, in for Narendra Modi's government to actually reveal the names of those Indians of whose names will be discussed and shared by the Swiss authorities. But as far as the NDA government is concerned, this comes as a big relief and respite, because it only adds up and boosts their fight to get the black money back and put an end to the issue of black money.
Aditi, this special investigations team that's been set up by Narendra Modi has already begun some of its work. This list now makes it very, very easy for them to do their job.
Absolutely. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, Pierre, also that at this point of time, as far as the Indian government is concerned, there was very little help so far coming from the Swiss authorities. Now, this is one of the first times when the Swiss authorities themselves have said that they are eager to work with the new regime that has come into place. They are ready to share the names with the Indian government of whose untaxed money is being stashed at the Swiss accounts. So clearly, with now this high-profile team, the SIT team being set up for black money, their work becomes easier, and it just gets the NDA government will just earn more brownie points as far as the black money is concerned, because that has been the critical and the key issue for the country for at least the past 2 to 3 years.
All right, Aditi, do stay with us. I have with us Justice MB Shah on the phone line. Mr. Shah, you've been put in charge of that team that will be investigating black money. This decision by the Swiss authorities would perhaps make your job much easier.
Certainly it would make it easier. We would be in position to find out how much amount is kept in the Swiss bank. Thereafter we would find out how many persons have kept legally and how many persons have kept illegally, or you can say unaccounted money or black money.
What sort of procedures would you now be following now that the Swiss government has virtually handed you this list of suspected accounts?
Up till now it is not handed over.
Okay.
They have promised that they would hand it over as early as possible, and demand would be made as early as possible by the state through proper channel. We cannot do it directly. We have to do it through proper channel.
And there are also restrictions on how you can use this list, I understand. One of them being that you cannot, of course, reveal the names unless you find evidence against certain people.
But we would take appropriate action. Therefore, I use the word appropriate action. Legal action is to be taken. We cannot use it to blackmail anyone. We have to use it properly after verifying whether it is unaccounted or accounted.
The Swiss bank accounts are, of course, just one set of black money that you would obviously be investigating. Indians have stashed black money in many countries all over the world. Are you looking at similar agreements with others? Because we know that the previous government had made attempts to sign such agreements.
Wherever there are agreements, we would try to find out. Wherever there are no agreements, we would try to get the names and find out thereafter what action should be taken. It depends. But in any case, there are a number of countries from where this unaccounted monies are kept.
Justice Shah, thank you very much for speaking to Headlines today. The chief of the Special Investigations Team on Black Money speaking exclusively to Headlines today on news from the Swiss government that it was willing to cooperate with Indian authorities on the case of black money. Jethmalani is a noted Supreme Court lawyer and he joins us on the phone line as well. Mr. Jethmalani, you fought a long campaign against black money yourself. This is welcome news.
Well, this is perfectly good news, and believe me that for the last 4 weeks that I have been away from India, I have been in a state of almost depression and gloom because I had no news from what was happening in India, what was being done by the External Affairs Ministry or by the Finance Ministry. And in fact, in March, I had already been to Germany and spoken to people there, and they had promised to deliver the names provided an official request came from our government. And when I left, I had written to the Prime Minister that the Germans want just a request from you. And I don't know whether that request has been made to them officially. And I was very hopeful, but not having any news, believe you me, I was in great gloom. And this news from the Swiss has dispelled much of my gloom, and I'm today feeling very happy and relaxed. And I hope the government of India will take the fullest possible advantage of this and see that the dacoits who have stolen so much of wealth from India are prosecuted, punished, and the black money retrieved. That's the way to end Indian poverty. And all the ills that ail our nation depend upon the retrieval of this money.
Mr. Jethmalani, what do you believe has been the key difference in the handling of this entire episode between the UPA and the NDA government?
The trouble, I tell you, the fraud that was being committed by the previous government, the names were being offered to us under the International Convention of Corruption. But we were deliberately trying to get this information under the Double Taxation Avoidance Treaty, which has nothing to do with dacoits and thieves. It has something to do with honest businessmen alone. And it creates an obligation not to disclose the names to everybody or to anybody. So this was the game which was being played by that corrupt government. They were not asking information under the international law, which binds every civilized nation, but they were trying to do it under a treaty which would make them hide it from the people whose property has been stolen.
And this, we were speaking to Justice Shah earlier, who heads the SIT. He says, and as you did as well, that this makes his job very much easier, at least as far as Swiss bank accounts are concerned. But many countries...
It has always been easy. We have deliberately not enforced international obligations under the United Nations Convention. And we have been trying to get it in a manner in which we should not get it. And now is the test of the honesty of the new government, and particularly the Ministry of Finance and the External Affairs, that because as they were both leaders of the opposition in the previous regime, and they had done nothing to recover this black money.
Mr. Jethmalani, you mentioned Germany as one nation you have had conversations with. There's also Liechtenstein. There are Caribbean countries. There's the US and British Virgin Islands as well.
Heavens, but we will be able to get at everybody so long as there is the will to enforce the promise which we have made to the people of India.
And you believe that this 11-man team headed by Justice Shah is heading in the right direction?
Well, of course, Mr. Justice, I have very great respect for Mr. Justice Shah, and believe you me that I have already offered full assistance to the special investigation team that he is heading, And I have not the slightest doubt that things will happen which ought to have happened years ago.
Ram Jethmalani, many thanks to you for speaking to Headlines today, this morning, your time in London.